Right now at 6, a powerful storm pounds the northwest with high surf, wind, rain, and mountain snow.
Plus, why another local school district is suddenly facing a massive budget hole and tough decisions.
I don't want to cut staff members. I don't want to put people out of a job.
Then, seeking solutions to big problems from some of the most innovative minds in the Northwest.
Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, we should play a role in leading the world.
Our television exclusive with the president of Microsoft.
And first, it was confusion. Now clarity. Why the Big Ten says the Oregon Ducks are headed to the conference championship game, no matter what.
Good evening. David Molko here with Christine Pinawanich. We begin at 6 with an early season storm strengthening off the coast, bringing unsettled weather from Northern California through Oregon and Washington all the way into BC.
And locally, we've seen a jump in power outages as well throughout the afternoon. PGE now showing more than 7,000 customers in the dark at this point. You can see on the map there maybe a couple clusters of outages around Arbor Lodge in North Portland and also the west side of Lake Oswego. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino for the very latest. Matt, a ton to talk about tonight.
Yeah, this is really quite an impressive storm from a meteorological perspective especially, but as you just showed us, the impacts beginning to mount up as well. So let's go to Newport, down to the central Oregon coast. You can see the wind on the water there, right? But the wind is still out of the south-southeast and still only 24 miles an hour. It's beginning to come up south of there. We've had some gusts of about 50 miles an hour. This is the storm. It is super strong. It is aptly named a bomb cyclone because of its explosive, that's the connection to bomb, explosive development of the storm itself. It is now beginning to spin more to the north. Eventually it'll weaken and begin to push away to the west. But what will happen is for us, so we're going to get this cold front moving on through, and that's when we're going to get our strongest winds. Right now, the winds have all been out of the east because the pressure offshore is so very, very low. It's drawing the air that way towards it. And especially as it moves farther north of, say, the Columbia River latitude, then we'll begin to pick up more of a south wind along with that front coming on in. So here are the peak wind gusts we've had so far today. Crown Point, Corbett, notice the trend. These are all locations that get a strong east wind. The airport had a gust of 41, and there were some strong winds on the coast too, but again, all out of the east. We haven't seen that strong south wind kick in yet. And notice tonight, it's still southeasterly, but gusts of 40 at Lincoln City forecast, still a gust of 38, but straight out of the east at Portland, right? We don't see it bend around in the valley until late tonight and tomorrow morning, and that's when we'll get our little burst of wind in the valley. We're also getting a lot of rain, as you know, there. When this cold front comes on shore, the weather will get more active later tonight. Guys?
A lot to talk about and a lot to keep an eye on. Thanks, Matt. Developing this evening, teachers in the Corbett School District are speaking out after they learned about layoffs and furloughs because of a big hole in the budget.
The district is blaming an accountant it hired for mistakes that then led to its budget issues. Libby Dowsett is live in Corbett tonight. Libby, a tough situation for employees and families.
Most definitely. We talked to teachers today who said they were shocked to hear that 10 people were getting laid off, 3 of them teachers, and now they just want to know what comes next.
We are all firing on all cylinders, making sure that the students are being taken care of.
Devin Groh is a kindergarten and first grade teacher in the Corbett School District. The news of the district's massive budget deficit due to accounting errors came as a shock to him.
We all know that we'll be able to pull it together and keep the high quality of education that these students deserve, but exactly how we're going to do that is causing anxiety.
The names of the 3 teachers, 3 administrators, and 4 classified workers getting cut are not public, but the superintendent told KGW they are the last people hired, and some students will be getting a new teacher mid-school year.
They'll have a different teacher. They'll notice, but we're trying to minimize it. We're not combining classes to explode class sizes.
Teachers and community members question when the district first realized the district budget was in trouble and to what degree.
It's palpable how concerned everyone feels about the vagueness of the information that we've been given.
But district leaders say as soon as the district's new CFO started noticing accounting errors by the district's longtime accountant, they began informing staff in September.
As we continued to look at our financial statements and everything, and our CFO started digging in, that's when it started growing.
He said his job is to right the ship, and that means cutting payroll. And that 6-day furlough for each district employee sometime in the beginning of next year saved the district from cutting 3 more people. Now there will be budget discussion tomorrow at the school board meeting at 7 p.m. Back to you.
Yet another district facing difficult decisions. Libby Dowsett in Corbett. Thanks, Libby. In your headlines, authorities in Washington County are looking for a suspect they say sexually assaulted a woman in a park. The sheriff's office releasing a sketch today. They say the attack was on September 7th at Metzger Park in southwest Portland, where the victim was walking her dog. Authorities believe the suspect is around 30, about 5'10", with a stocky build with straight black hair. If you recognize him, call the Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Nearly 3 dozen people were arrested in just 2 months after Portland police targeted people involved in human trafficking, they say. One of those arrested for prostitution-related crimes on stretches of Northeast 82nd and Sandy Boulevard was a retired sergeant for the Bureau, Christopher Kennedy, who pleaded not guilty to a misdemeanor charge. Public records show Kennedy was with the Bureau from 1999 until January of this year. 7 of the other people arrested had warrants or were wanted for other gun-related crimes.
In Vancouver, city leaders have approved a retail business tax increase to fund what is called a bridge shelter to help transition people out of homelessness. The 0.1% tax will raise $1 per $1,000 in sales. The new 150-bed shelter in the Vancouver Mall is projected to cost $16 million to build and more than $6 million to operate just in its first year. The shelter will provide drug treatment, case management, work opportunities, and medical care.
The Oregon Department of Forestry will not be getting a $60 million loan from the state treasury to help cover the costs of this year's record-setting wildfire season. That's according to Willamette Week, which reported the treasury was concerned ODF might not be able to pay the money back. Federal money is expected, though, to cover about half the $260 million in firefighting costs. In September, the State Emergency Board approved a request to cover $47 million. Lawmakers must now decide how to keep the department afloat.
Now at 6, a major conference has just wrapped up in downtown Portland with a focus on solutions to the region's housing crisis.
The 2-day Cascadia Innovation Conference brings together leaders from British Columbia, Washington, and Oregon to address major regional issues in a new way. One idea, taking unused or vacant commercially zoned land and rezoning it for residential use.
If we were to rezone that and make that available for affordable housing, workforce housing, we could really not only solve our problem, but maybe have a margin.
The group estimates the corridor from British Columbia all the way to Oregon needs about 250,000 homes right now, with 3 million needed over the next 20 years. Microsoft has been a pretty big contributor to the Cascadia Innovation Corridor.
Laurel Porter sat down with the company's president and vice chair in a television exclusive to hear more about his plans for the corridor and how Oregon fits in. Laurel?
Thanks, guys. Brad Smith has been leading the way for the Cascadia Innovation Corridor since the first conference in Vancouver, BC in 2016. Then it included just British Columbia and Seattle, but has since expanded to include Portland. He says by connecting the region, we can work together to solve common problems like a lack of housing. Microsoft committed $750 million to creating more housing in the Puget Sound, leading to 12,000 new housing units. That was good, but that was short of where Smith hoped it would be. And he said money isn't the only answer.
It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have the land on which to build, you can't build more housing. Let's look at the kinds of space that is no longer being used the way it was 10 or 20 years ago, rezone that, then use the money to attract, say, lower cost housing to that land, speed up permitting processes, That is, I think, the winning recipe. That is what we found, it's what we've learned, and I think it's what we all need to focus on following in terms of a plan for the future.
Smith says another long-term answer to creating more affordable housing is making the dream of connecting the region with ultra-high-speed rail become a reality. People could live farther away from work. Other countries have done it, he says, and he believes we can too.
But it's now got backing from Washington, D.C. in terms of the infrastructure bill. We will see funding out of the Department of Transportation. There is much more advanced planning. In the next few years, we'll have to go from, say, where we are today to really mapping out exactly where the rail line would go, exactly how we'll fund and manage that construction and operate that. But look, the future I think we should all pursue is one where somebody can get on a train in Portland and get off the train in Seattle in less than an hour, even after 2 or 3 stops in between.
That'd be amazing.
Exactly.
And wouldn't that be great? We also talked about how the Cascadia Innovation Corridor can create job opportunities, what he calls the new AI economy, and how using artificial intelligence and linking research institutions like OHSU's Knight Cancer Institute could lead to a cure for cancer. You can find our entire conversation on KGW Plus and online a little bit later this evening.
Just the tip of the iceberg there. Thanks so much, Laurel.